Yeah, man. Obviously, my last few videos, I was speaking a little bit about just why life is so challenging in general. And obviously, in my first few videos, I've explained all about the absolute, the relative planes, um, how God has chosen to incarnate through us to look back at itself and experience itself from a particular point of view. This point of view, or that point, my point of view, your point of view, his point of view, all the different points of view on the same on it, what we're looking at, the world, life. Um, but why didn't God just make it like perfect and just so easy and you know what I'm saying, just in heaven, the dreamland, like why didn't it just make it so easy, no suffering? Like, is it possible for God to have made it like that? And some people think that that is possible for it to create some utopia. Utopia is the perfect word because it's supposed to mean like a perfect world or a heaven, but it kind of, I don't know, it has that it has a kind of a sinister vibe about it. Utopia. It's actually the fake, the fake perfection. It's the fake heaven. Like, it's like what you like think it should be. Um, but like with Utopia, there's a kind of the hue like of that it's not true. It's almost too good to be true, and that's why I like heaven or the perfect land, utopia or the dream. Like when people say live in the dream, like the dream is always a dream. Like it's always like over there. Like it's not. It's never true. It's always just like a seeding potential that can be actualized that never actually does. It never actually gets there, but it always seems like it's just one step ahead, or like something that you could imagine. You could imagine like, oh, what heaven would be like, or you could imagine the utopia. But it's like the whole point is that reality is never that. So even if you got to a higher level, even if you made it however you think utopia would be, there would be something higher than that that you could imagine. So there's never a level that or some kind of form that will satisfy everything and get there and be perfect. It's impossible. So the moment any creation happens, obviously I've explained because this is all just from the 0 point and it kind of creates through schisms and it has to schism itself into two opposites, dualities, and it can do that from multiple different dimensions, like up and down, left and right, good and bad, like all the different dualities. And within the relative plane, it's like everything is on a scale. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like shape shifting in all these forms and amalgamations. And because it's with the 0 point and it kind of zooms in and out forever, and it's kind of got the micro, like, what, as above, so below. You know what I'm saying? So within, so without, or whatever the fuck they're saying. Um, kind of get the point, but um, yeah, basically what I'm saying is that this is it. Like, this is the best it gets. Um, if there was a better reality, if it was possible to create a better reality than this, then that would be the reality that we would be in. But whatever is the case right now is the best thing that could have happened. No matter how, no matter how, unlikely that seems, that's the case. I'm trying to right now trying to pin down the essence of perfection. Yeah, and essentially the essence of perfection is simply just the idea that there's nothing wrong with it. It's all right. Right. Yeah, that is exactly as it's supposed to be. And that's true. No matter how ugly or painful some parts of reality may be, you can't deny that everything is exactly as it's supposed to be. Otherwise, why would it be this way? It wouldn't be this way if it was supposed to be another way. There's no like other way it's supposed to be. No. Otherwise, that's the way it would be. It's like right now what you're experiencing, so to speak, like you could imagine that there's if you're thinking of it as almost like an equation, like there's like the A plus B is equal to C. So like what we're experiencing is the outcome, C. And then like A plus B is the ingredient, so to say. Um, and you could imagine that there's infinite variables and God or the simulation is just like an infinite calculator or algorithm that's like just adding or like calculating all the infinite variables and like what the outcome would be. What would the outcome be? And then like this appearance is literally the outcome of infinite variables and infinite possibilities. And this is what collapsed right now. This is exactly out of everything that it could be. This is what it is right now. And why is that? It's because this is the most truest thing. It's true. It's true that the truth is true. It is true that it is this way. Can you deny that? It is this way right now, right? Like this whole idea that, reality isn't real. Like, that is pure delusion. Like, one sec. Yeah, man, that's pure delusion. See, again, I come to just the absolute and the relative, or just self and other, or truth and falsehood. See, you have to realize, in a sense, it is relatively true that the world is false. Like, because what you have to realize, so the truth, this is why I say the absolute is absolute and the truth is true. Right? And because the truth is true and everything is itself and falsehood is false, there's no such thing as falsehood because it's false, as I've said many times, and the truth is true. So it's almost like the truth is the anchor or the reference, and then what creation is, it's like as it expands or deviates, the forms are essentially untrue to lower and higher degrees. It's like there's just the truth, which is true, and then everything else, which is a deviation, is as a reference against truth. But like just the moment it even expands or deviates into a form, then it's always going to be partially true, but then it's always going to be partially untrue, because it's also defined by what it's not. Like everything is defined by what it's not, as I've explained many times. So that's kind of why, like, because the truth is the ultimate anchor, it's the ultimate reference. Like, what can you refer to? Like, see, for example, you can't say that everything is a dream. No, because dream is already in comparison to like real life, or like there can only be a dream if there's something that's not a dream. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so you can't just say that everything is a dream. That doesn't make sense. Even though, as I've explained many times, why people say this is because in dreams they end, and then after that you wake. Really, you're waking just into another dream, a larger, longer dream, and then you can wake out of that, and so on and so forth. But when you wake out of that dream into the real life, then you have that to compare against, and then by that point, the dream ended and it's gone now. So now it's just a memory, and then you can say, "Oh, that was just a dream. It didn't even really happen. It just appeared to kind of happen." Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, but so there's, but it's only, you can only really call it a dream if it ends. And yes, so because and that's why all the forms are impermanent, because all forms arise and fall. Like they can't sustain themselves forever. There's some forms which last way longer, some way shorter, depending on the scale. Remember I explained how like time and space and scale, it's all just like the same thing, because it's all from the 0 point, the 0 dimension, which is everything unto itself. The truth is true. I am myself. Yeah, so if you really want to think of an idea of heaven or utopia or whatever you think like that could be, or even if you're just an atheist, a potentially better world, like, oh, forget about all of that utopia or God or anything, like just yes, us as humans in a world, like with the laws of physics or whatever, I'm sure we could even still strive for something better than this, right? Like, well, we can get something better than like where we are, like, but you can't get better than this. I'm not saying that we won't evolve and like things won't become more convenient, or like won't kind of seem to progress, depending obviously with what you're measuring, like what progress are you measuring? Because we might be like progressing in certain things and diminishing in others as the cost. Because remember, everything is a zero-sum game. So as some things are going up, other things are going down. You know what I'm saying? And this is literally the infinity symbol. Like life is the sine wave. This is why they say everything is vibration, because the baseline is just 0, and then everything else is a deviation and an oscillation. And that's why it's neither nor. Like, it's just can't even be described through words. But essentially, it will always seem imperfect to the subject, the limited subject, because the limited subject always is limited, has to survive as that limited form, must maintain like some self-biases and so on and so forth to survive. And so there has to be some things that you can't like, some things that you can't perceive. So like what would seem like the perfect thing to you would be like completely imperfect for the whole rest of like just think about how, like, even if you think that you are this human self, like that's just like 0.000000000000000000001 like percent of the whole like thing. Like really you're nothing. Really you're just nothing in the whole thing. But like just imagine, alright, cool, maybe you're like 0.00 like times to like 100 million trillion like then 1% of the whole thing, and then let's say we create like the perfect heaven for you, that will be completely detrimental to the rest of the 99.99999999999%. It will be at the detriment to them, because like you don't exist in a vacuum. Like as soon as one person exists, you're already creating like others. This is what I've explained as well, because it's codependently arises. It's all just made out of divisions and boundaries within the infinite quantum field. And because it's an infinite field, there's only one of it. There's not two fields. There can't be two fields. So there's just one infinite field. So you can only create stuff by dividing, like splitting it. And the moment you split it, it's already two. That's why everything's dualities. You can't just make one thing. You can't just make like one thing, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, like you can't just make just the perfect reality, and then there's no like imperfect reality. Like, no, see, and that's literally kind of how it is. Just the moment that, like, because God is in a sense the perfect reality, but then it already, because it's shining so bright, it casts that shadow of the imperfect reality, which is like kind of the demon realm, which kind of sinks to the bottom with this dense, like this density. It kind of sinks to the bottom, and that's kind of where we are. Like, you know what I'm saying? We've sunk to the bottom, the fallen angels. That's why we're trying to rise back up. They're trying to release our anchors and rise back up to the one self that, in a sense, you know you've always are like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're down here, but like you're up here really, and you know what I'm saying? It's your body kind of this the density that kind of holds you down and grounds you. You know what I'm saying? It's all about like the ground. Yeah. So essentially, for every single like particular viewpoint, it may seem stupid, like, but for every single particular viewpoint, it's got to seem a little bit imperfect or a little bit unfair. But that's actually because, like, you have to realize it's the infinite aggregate. It's like, it's kind of making it fair for every single thing. It's even making it fair to the viruses. Like, the people that you think are your ops, like the opposition, the guys that you hate, like, it's even making it fair for them, not just for you. It's not just like you that exists. And it can't make like just a reality that's, see, it makes it seem limited, like, but it's not limited. It's unlimited and limited. It's like, even like it's unlimited, but even its unlimitedness kind of is limited by its own unlimitedness. Like, it's so unlimited that, I don't know, it sounds paradoxical, but that's what I'm saying. It's neither nor. Like, it's not this, it's not that. Like, it's not like, but this is already in the relative plane. See, like as I've explained, at the very top, it just is itself. But you can't even say anything about that. At that point, there's not even a division. So there's not even a perception. There's not even consciousness. Like, it doesn't, like, it's true, but there's not even a knowledge of it being true. Like, it like, see, you don't have to. Truth doesn't have to be believed in. It doesn't even have to be, like, you don't even have to be conscious of truth for it to be true. You don't have to believe in it for it to be true. You don't even have to know about it for it to be true. It's not based on any condition. That's what I'm saying. I'm not speaking about like these lower, like, relative truths that I've already explained that in my like very first few videos, like the absolute truth and like the splits of all the relative truths and and that's all like in like a scale. You know what I'm saying? Because it splits into the two poles, and then it's always kind of like oscillating somewhere in between. And then one day it might be here, and then one day and then counterbalancing. And this is kind of like karma. You know what I'm saying? And it's a dynamic scale. That's what I'm saying. That's why some of these gods, and then it always speaks about the day of judgment, and it's all about the Christ, and it's like balancing your soul. Are you completely balanced? Like, are you like? Because then people think, oh, you have to always just only be good or just always be absolutely bad or something. But then actually, no, like, if you're like too skewed on this side or that side, then you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like a multiplication. So if you're imbalanced to a particular way, then it's gonna like infinitely span you that way or span you that way. So you have to be, they say, to cross the eye of a needle, like your heart has to be as light as a feather. You know what I'm saying? You have to be so centered into the 0 point, no oscillation, unwavering. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be conscious. Consciousness is conscious. Allow consciousness to be conscious of itself. Allow truth to be true by itself. And allow yourself to be yourself. Naturally. Realize how nothing has to be done. No effort is required. In fact, you can measure and realize when something is untrue by how much require it takes to sustain it. The truth requires no energy to sustain it. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say. Another random one, but these are just the ones I like. Um, yeah, I'll maybe listen to it and then see if there's something to add. Yeah, and actually one of the main points I wanted to make, which I forgot to make from the beginning, about why life is so challenging again, um, is that because God is the one that's incarnating, it's the absolute incarnating as relative. So it's like the unlimited incarnating as a limited form, right? Because think about it. If you're really unlimited, that means you have the choice to be limited as well. If you can't be limited, then you're not unlimited. Recognize that. See, that's why, like the absolute, that's why the truth encapsulates. It's so absolute. It encapsulates both sides always. Like infinity encapsulates finity. Finity does not negate infinity. But yeah. So anyway, um, it's God, which is unlimited, perfect, and true, incarnating in a sense. See, for it to come into as a form, even though it is part of itself, it has to exclude the rest of itself. And then obviously everything what it excludes, which actually is itself, to experience only this finite finitude of the infinity, then all of that excluded part of the self now becomes other, or the world, or existence, right? That it experiencing through this vantage point now. Um, and even though it's limited, this form, like you're limited, but obviously, especially if you come to higher states of consciousness, you'll realize that it's the infinite intelligence which is flowing through you, and you receive grace where life had to be like what you don't realize, obviously, because you're trying to act as if like small. You're acting small right now. Like God is very large, infinite, and it's acting small. It's playing small right now. Um, and to do that, like life has to seem challenging to you, to where like you're underplaying because your true self is infinite and all powerful. To incarnate, you can only incarnate as, although it's a fraction of yourself, because you're excluding most of the 99%. In a sense, you're becoming what you're not. You can only become what you're not already. Realize that. Um, and as it's becoming what it's not, so as the truth is becoming false, in a sense, that's why everything they say is Maya. Like the world is Maya. It's everything is untrue to a certain degree. Like, and the only thing that unifies it is the one truth. Like everything is schismed, everything is mostly untrue, but it's just that the underlying absolute which kind of gives it that seam of congruency. Fucking hell. And yeah, and because what you don't realize, you think you're just a little human, but you are God, and you had to, and you actually have, even though you're limited, in a sense, you still have access to your unlimited power if you become conscious of that. And and if you're a player with infinite power, or even though you're in a limited form, but almost you're neither limited nor unlimited in a sense. So you're kind of in a limited form, but actually you have access to your unlimited power if you become conscious of that. So the game has to be really hard. It's like you're the highest level max already. So the game it has to be insanely hard. Otherwise, like if the game was so easy, like it seems like that's what you want. But I'm telling you, you'll be so bored. Like you see, even though I'm not anthropomorphizing God, because God is like, it's true, and it has the capacity for consciousness to recognize itself. Like look, you're conscious, so you can feel emotions. God, of course, like, because He's given you that, so God, of course, can be conscious and feel emotions as well. So God, even though it's not a person per se, but it can be bored as well. And imagine you're in eternity and it's only you. Like it gets fucking bored as fuck. So even though certain times things seem crazy, like it's almost like it will do anything but just chilling. And like obviously the void is cool and that, like when you, after a certain time, like, you know what I'm saying, when you've been awake for a while, you do best stuff and then you want to go sleep for a bit. Yeah, you can rest for a bit, like, but you think you want to rest for eternity, but actually like after a while, just being in that void, like that's where the potential kind of builds up to boom, explode again, and another big bang, and then it will exhaust its potential, and then collapse, and then, you know what I'm saying, boom again. Like so, yeah, the game has to be super high level, otherwise, like it wouldn't even be like entertaining to you. It wouldn't even like keep your interest. Like imagine just to get $1 million, yeah, you think it'll be good, but like imagine like to get everything you ever wanted in life. Just press a button. Just keep pressing it. Or you just press one button and the game's finished forever. There's nothing left. See, because you have to realize God is in eternity, so there's no time. Like it's not like gonna end or something. Like so, I mean, like the truth doesn't end, but then so if the game ends, then the truth is just gonna keep going, and then there's just gonna be nothing to like entertain it anymore. So in a sense, everything is just entertainment. The whole world, even though like, and that's why you say, oh, why is there bad stuff? But look at the movies we create. Look at the, oh my days, I can't be left alone. Yeah, like look at the movies we create, the best TV shows, Breaking Bad, and all of this stuff. Like it's all like all the drama. It's all look at all the stories. It always starts when something goes wrong. That's when it begins, because at the beginning it was already perfect. Obviously, like it. So in a sense, already at creation, like yes, it seems like yes, like certain forms may be evolving, like because obviously you have to have like an arc, like you have to rise to fall, right? Like so at the beginning you're gonna kind of be evolving, but actually yes, in a certain sense, the moment like it creates, like it's kind of like a degeneration curve, because it starts from perfection, so like it's always kind of go that, and only until it like kind of loops all the way back to itself, back to perfection again. But you kind of almost, this is the fall that is described like as like, you know what I'm saying, the devil, which is just like God, which splits itself And then that other side, you know what I'm saying? Then the fall, like it falls all the way down to hell, which is like the complete kind of opposition. Like, so where I'm saying, yes, the truth is true, one is equal to one, I am myself, you are yourself, reality is real, existence exists. The complete opposite, and the kind of Maya, the matrix, which everyone's kind of trapped in and actually lives in, which they think that they're in the real world, but they're actually like trapped in this Maya world, this mind illusion, is like that everything isn't what it is. Left is right, up is down, reality is a lie. Like reality is false, and and falsehood is true. You know what I'm saying? And like yesterday is tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like all the, like it's just complete. It's literally just takes the truth and flips it. It's literally the complete inversion of truth. Those are the two poles, and then you know what I'm saying. And then so like, but yeah, so but this is all like this. That's the whole complete cycle. Like that's the absolute in a sense. But yeah, it's very tricky to explain it because it's like words just can't really do it justice. But yeah, so the game like you're playing small, you're playing like you're limited, but you're actually the unlimited playing as limited, and that's what's keeping you trapped as well. You think it's some other person, but you are trapping yourself in the game because you think you want to escape. That's part of your programming in the game. The game is to escape the game. But you programmed the game. You programmed the game. You programmed yourself, your player character, to try and escape the game. And then you made the really hard level, like the perfect maze to kind of keep you trapped. But like obviously there's always a way out. But like it's the perfect like 99% maze to where it will take the highest intelligence for you to escape, even in this limited form. Like that's the game you're playing. It's like you played like level 1, level 2, level 3, and like God's just going up to like level infinite, and that's like where you are. But you keep on going higher and higher. It's an infinite bull market, no end. Like of course there's always going to be peaks and valleys, but it's just up to the right, up to the right, up to the right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I say really there's always like even though there's the absolute, which are really the only truth, but then it's schisms, and then both sides are relatively false. But even with the two relative false poles, one of them is almost more congruent and aligned with the absolute, to where you know what I'm saying, like wrong, like right is right, like right is right. It still has its own essence, like this, like to be right, like it has an essence, whereas wrong is just the antithesis of right. You see, so like there's always kind of a light side, and then just one is just like the shadow being cast like on the other, like so chaos. It seems like chaos and order. Like some people even think chaos is like more fundamental than order, but that's untrue. Like it actually comes from complete order in the beginning. So it can only deviate down to chaos and then like arise back in death, in a sense. So rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? That's when it just kind of comes back to like where it was in the beginning, because you came from death. Like you was dead before you was alive. It's a deviation. Um, And yeah, so you're God kind of playing your own game in this player character, but as soon as you spawn into the player character, that is the program that you programmed from your higher self, is that you forget, so that you can play the game, and then you're just versing the game, and then and obviously part of the game is thinking that you want to get out of the game, and even them times where you think, nah, like this is just shit, like what is this, like I'm trapped in it, whatever, like I'd rather it was just nothing or something, like, but but actually that's what I'm saying, like nothing is nothing. You don't understand what you're saying. Nothing already is nothing. That's why there's everything. Because if nothing was nothing, like you clearly don't understand what you're saying. Nothing is nothing already. Like you can't say, oh, like there's this, like this should be nothing. Like no, nothing. Only nothing can be nothing. And if nothing is nothing, then of course there must be something. See, so like creation is inevitable. Like these forms arising is inevitable. Everything is inevitable. Everything is exactly as it should be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be this way. And it may not seem like a utopia, a perfect world to you, because it's not completely skewed to you per se, but it's completely fair, like to the aggregate of every single point of view. Even if one of those point of views may be opposing to you, or like one of those point of views may be like on your side as well. Like it's all like mixed, and you know what I'm saying. And especially even you take different points of view all the time. Like that's literally as time unfolds, it's like every little frame is a different point of view. And then like kind of what you would say a life is, or even a soul, if you're saying it has multiple lives, it's kind of like it's held by a string, kind of like, so to where you're saying even, yes, this point of view is completely different to this one, but like this one came from this one, as opposed to like some other frame of some other person or something. Like not like this one came from this one, like it progressed like kind of in this string linearly. But that's what I'm saying, there's not even a string. It's always just the eternal frame, just shape shifting forever. It's always new frames because it has infinite potential. It's just completely, it's fulfilling infinity, but then there's always infinite more. So it's just always going to be in the middle. That's what I'm saying. There's infinite coordinates. There's no center. So any way you take is the center. So you're in the center right now. And then even if you go 100 meters there, you're still going to be in the center. That's why you can never escape it. You're always there, here and there. There's no difference between here and there or now and then. There's no difference between left and right. It just depends where are you measuring from. That's it. That's why consciousness, like your mind it's just all measurements. Like your mind, everything you're just measuring. They've explained this in quantum mechanics. Like as soon as the quantum field is just only potential, and then as you collapse it as a particular form, you know what I'm saying? Then it's excluding all the other ones, and then is that in particular, as opposed to that. And the object is collapsed by the subject perceiving it. That's why consciousness is codependently arising. And actually, if there's nothing to perceive, then there's no one perceiving. That's why in deep sleep, it's like you don't even exist, because there's nothing to perceive. So there's no perceiver. And that's what it'll be like in death, but you won't even know that you were ever alive. But really, you're not even alive right now. You're neither alive nor dead. But then this is in the dream. See, like I'm usually speaking about the absolute, but then you have to realize it's almost like a triangle. Like the absolute's the pinnacle, and then it precipitates down, and then like even the levels right below that are extremely high states as well, even though they're way more chaotic and uncertain. And many people would even think that those levels are the pinnacle. But yeah, like as soon as it kind of like splits in the first division, and it kind of becomes pure chaos in a sense from that order and precipitates down, that's when it's kind of all just neither nor. Like it's like because it is itself, then like the only thing that's opposite to that is like neither nor. It's neither this nor that, like because it's already split into two, but then it's neither of the sides. But so then it's just like it's literally just like a shape shifting dancer. That's why they say dancing shiver, like that which is not. It's like it's not even not. It's like that. Like it is what isn't. Like so, it's really hard to explain. It's paradoxical, but yeah. I think that's enough rambling, but yeah. So it had the life, like you made it this hard for yourself, and you think you want to escape, but even that's like even your strife and your setbacks, you wanted all of those things, and you think no, I don't want that, but see, you wanted to not want that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be experiencing it. Otherwise, like this is what I'm saying. When you actually get there and you realize that there's only God, then you realize everything is God's will. So there's nothing can go against what God wants. And really, there is only God. There is only the self, and you are the self. Like so, nothing can happen that you don't want to happen. And there will be things that appear to like your player character, like the subdivision of yourself that you're identifying with, and then you'll do something that seems like, oh, because you identify with this, it will seem like, oh, that I don't want that, but you wanted to not want that. You programmed that. You know what I'm saying? So you could, I don't know, evolve up or like experience the crash down or whatever you wanted. Whatever you wanted is what's happening. Nothing can happen against your will. And in a sense, having absolute will is the same as having no will. It's the choiceless choice. As I say, it's paradoxical at these levels. It's not like logical. It's not something that you can understand. It's just something that you can realize and just embody and encapsulate and almost just dissolve into and become, not become, but you just have to like return to. You have to return to that because you're deviated right now. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.